read 3 popular books that I have seen all over TikTok, YouTube, Goodreads, basically any book platform that you can think of, these books are on it, to see if they're actually worth the hype and so that you don't have to. So let's get into it. Ninth House follows Galaxy, or Alex Stern, who was raised in Los Angeles and by age 20 is the sole survivor of a horrific multiple homicide. Some might say she's thrown her life away, but at her hospital bed, Alex is offered a second chance to attend Yale on a full ride. Still searching for answers for herself, Alex arrives in New Haven, tasked by her mysterious benefactors with monitoring the activities of Yale's secret societies. These 8 windowless tombs are well known to be haunts of the future rich and powerful, from high-ranking politicians to Wall Street and Hollywood's biggest players, but their occult activities are revealed to be more sinister and more extraordinary than anyone could conceive. This is one that I was very excited to read, so let's go into the reading vlog. So I'm about 15% into Ninth House right now. It's really good, it's really interesting. I'm finding it a little bit slow to get into, but I'm hoping that I can pick up the pace on it a little bit because I've been reading it for like a week and I usually read books faster than this. I have been really busy. So far, I honestly don't feel a whole lot about it. I don't feel any which way. But I think it'll be better once I get a little bit further into the plot, because right now it's still a lot of world building and words that I don't really understand, or words that I don't really know the meaning of yet. But this is definitely an adult series, so I'll come back to you when I've hopefully read more of it. Say hello to my little friend. I don't know why. Good morning. It is 7:40. I left my house kind of early this morning for work because we had freezing rain last night, which is super fun. But then I got here a lot faster than I expected. So I picked up some Starbucks. I'm gonna sit here and read my book for like 15 minutes before work. I'm now about 35% into Ninth House and I'm really into it now. I'm gonna try and read a good amount of it tonight and hopefully I will finish it in a few days. I'm very invested in it now. The story has gotten really interesting. This book kind of switches between timelines, so it switches between spring, winter, and fall. So it starts in spring and then it kind of like backtracks between fall and winter and what Alex was doing that got her to the point that she is at the beginning of the book in spring. I think I understand the world a lot better, which has made it a lot easier to read. I'm also excited to read Hellbent now, so that's definitely going to be on next month's TBR. The sun is so bright. Good morning. I got home from work yesterday and I fell asleep at 6 p.m. and then I woke up at 10:30 p.m. and I was wide awake, so I read like 30% of Ninth House. So I'm almost done now. I think I'm at like 90%. It's really good. I was really invested. I read till like 1 a.m. and I went back to sleep. So kind of an insane night. But I really like that it has all these like fantasy elements, but it's like a murder mystery and it's kind of spooky. But I think I'm gonna finish it today. Well, I know I'm gonna finish it today because I'm really invested in the story and I'm really excited to read Hellbent, but I'll give you guys my full thoughts. I really enjoyed this book. It's definitely slow to get into, but it's so worth it. Once I hit the 30% point, I could not put this down. It's set in the real world, which is kind of cool. So there's magic and ghosts all around, but most people don't know that. And I also like that it had a murder mystery aspect to it. So that kind of mixed in with the fantastical side of everything made it even more interesting to read. Basically, in this book, the Leaf recruit Alex to work for them to stop all the other magical societies from just wreaking havoc on New Haven. And they chose Alex because she has the ability to see ghosts, or they call them greys, which is super rare. Most people have to take this like super dangerous potion to be able to see them. So she's definitely a huge asset to them. So this is definitely an adult fantasy. It's a little bit darker, a little bit more disturbing than some of other Leigh Bardugo's books, but I think if you did like her other books, you'll love this book. I definitely recommend reading it if you've been thinking about it. You just have to prepare for a little bit of a slow start. If you've seen my last video, you know that I bought and I'm already reading. So I definitely love this series. I gave this book 4 stars. I only took away the 1 star because it did take me a little bit to get into it, but I think this one is definitely worth the hype it's been getting. The next book that I chose to read was Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. This book is about chemist Elizabeth Sott in the 1960s and her all-male team at Hastings Research Institute who have a very unscientific view of equality. Except for one person, Calvin Evans, the lonely, brilliant, Nobel Prize-nominated grudge holder who falls in love with, of all things, her mind. But like science, life is unpredictable, which is why a few years later, Elizabeth finds herself not only a single mother, but the reluctant star of Americans' most beloved cooking show, Supper at 6. Elizabeth's unusual approach to cooking proves to be revolutionary, but as her following grows, not everyone is happy, because as it turns out, Elizabeth Sott isn't just teaching women to cook, she's daring them to change the status quo. So this has a whopping 4.36 stars on Goodreads, which is a very good rating with 410,000 reviews. This book is supposed to be really funny, a really good commentary on the world, and very original and vibrant. It's one that I've heard about a lot, so I was definitely interested to read it, so let's get into the reading vlog. I started reading Lessons in Chemistry yesterday. I downloaded the audiobook so that I could listen to it while I was working, and I think I'm like 20-ish% in now, and I'm not super into it yet. It could just be like the narrator that's kind of affecting my opinion of it. So far, I'm finding it a little bit hard to get into. It kind of feels like it's like jumping back and forth between really like heavy dark themes and then trying to be funny. So I don't know, we'll see how the rest of it goes, but so far not loving it. So I'm currently on chapter 15 of Lessons in Chemistry. I've listened to the audiobook mostly while I'm working, so there's no footage of that, but I definitely am enjoying it a lot more now than I was the last time that I talked to you guys. I still don't know if I love it, if it's my favorite book. It's definitely picked up a bit, I think, which is good. I don't know, I just feel like it's not grabbing my interests as much as I would like it to. But again, I'm only like 30-ish% in. I'm on chapter 15, so we'll see how it goes. So far, it's pretty average. Okay, I realize this is the exact same setup, but it is the next day, and I got to chapter 28 of Lessons in Chemistry today, so I calculated that and it's about 60% in, so I think I'll probably finish it in the next day or two. I'm definitely liking it a little bit better. My favorite part of it by far is 630's perspective. I love dogs, and I think it's kind of funny. I gotta be honest, I found it a little bit underwhelming thus far, but I don't know, maybe it'll really pick up in that last 40%. It's finally caught up to the current timeline, so it kind of starts off at a point and then it goes back in time like 10 years or whatever. It feels like the story is like really moving along now, which is good. This is a really curious angle. I'm once again really early to work because we had a ton of snow last night, so I left early. So I got a little hot chocolate from Tim Hortons, and I'm gonna listen to my audiobook for a little bit, and then I'm gonna listen to it while I'm working today, and I might be able to finish it either today or tomorrow, I think. And then I will update you on my thoughts on Lessons in Chemistry. Okay, so this might be a bit controversial. I didn't love this book. I found it a little bit hard to get into. It was very character focused, very like contemporary fiction, but I didn't really like any of the characters. I feel kind of indifferent towards this book. I don't know if this is because I listened to the audiobook and I just didn't vibe with the narration, but it just didn't do that much for me. I did find myself rooting for Elizabeth. I also found her kind of annoying sometimes. The message of this book is great and the concept is there, and I think it's definitely an important message, but it feels very unrealistic. Like, it feels like everything is dealt with in a very black and white way. Like, the comparison that I think of is that it kind of deals with politics in a similar way to Red, White, and Royal Blue, where it's just very, very like black and white. There's no nuance, there's no gray area, and I think that just makes the book a little bit more unrealistic and a little bit harder to get into for me. I gave this book 2.5 stars. This is not one that I would recommend, but I think if it sounds interesting to you and you want to read it, go ahead. It's definitely well written. It's just the story, I feel like, left something to be desired. My favorite part was 630, who is the dog in the book, and his narration. I think that was a really interesting aspect and it added a lot of comedy, but this book was just okay. The last popular book that I read is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin, and this I have literally seen everywhere. Everyone's been talking about it. It won the Goodreads Choice Award for Best Fiction in 2022, so definitely a hyped up book. This book is about Sam Mazur, who exits a subway car and sees amid the hordes of people Sadie Green. He calls her name, and for a moment she pretends she hasn't heard him, but then she turns and a game begins, a legendary collaboration that will launch them to stardom. These friends, intimate since childhood, borrow money, beg favors, and before even graduating college, they have created their first blockbuster, Ishigo. Not even 25 years old, Sam and Sadie are brilliant, successful, and rich, but these qualities won't protect them from their own creative ambitions and betrayals of their hearts. Spanning 30 years, from Cambridge to Venice Beach, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow is dazzling and intricately imagined novel. It examines multifarious natures of identity, disability, failure, and the redemptive possibilities in play. Yes, it's a love story, but it is not one you have read before. This one really drew me in. It sounds very character driven. It sounds like it deals with a lot of really complex, interesting themes, and honestly, the cover for this book is beautiful. I desperately want the physical copy of this, but it's like $40 right now, so I read this one on my Kindle. Let's see if it lives up to the hype. I started reading Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow today on my Kindle, and I am now 43% of the way in, so I definitely am liking it a lot more. Well, not that I thought I wouldn't like it, but I got into it a lot faster than I expected. I think the characters are like instantly really interesting to read about, and the writing is so good. I'm kind of flying through it. I think I can probably finish it in the next day or two, and I just find it really interesting because it's about the main characters, Sadie and Sam, building a video game together. And I did a little bit of like video game design and coding in university, so it appeals to my like nerdy design self. I'm definitely really enjoying it so far. Sorry if you guys can hear a lot of noise. I have my heater on the background because I am freezing. The heat wasn't working at my work today, and so I'm just permanently cold. Anyway, I am now like 65% into Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, and I don't even know how to explain why this book is so good, because it's like occupying all my thoughts, and I don't exactly know what it is other than the fact it's just really well written. It's a really deep character study with really complex characters. It's interesting because I feel very conflicted feelings about a lot of the characters, but like in a good way, if that makes sense. So like Sam, like I get where he's coming from, and I understand why he kind of is acting the way he's acting, but also he's like really frustrating sometimes, and I just feel like that makes it so much more interesting to read when they feel like very real. Oh, apparently my Kindle is restarting, so that's my cue. I will talk to you later. I'm once again very early to work, and you're probably wondering, based on this video, how many snowstorms can you possibly have? And the answer is far too many. More than average. So I'm chilling in my car for now, and I'm going to read some of my book before I go into work today. Okay, I finished Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow today. I read that book so fast, like way faster than I expected to read it. Nobody told me this book was gonna make me cry. I was not prepared for that. I was up so late reading this because I had to get past this like big thing that happens at like the 80% mark that I wasn't prepared for. But I really enjoyed it, but I'm really tired. So I'll see you guys in a few days probably to wrap up, or I guess in a few seconds for you. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. This book made me feel things. It's immediately captivating with incredible writing and nuanced and realistic characters. It follows our main characters, Sam and Sadie, from when they meet at age 11 to age 37, so it's a huge timeline, which I think makes it more interesting to read because it's never like super focused on one part of their lives. You get to see them grow up and change, and you see their relationship grow and change. It's a story about love and loss and the best and worst sides of being human. I definitely was not prepared for how emotional this story made me. So Sadie, Sam, and Sam's roommate Marks create a video game called Ishigo in college, and it's an instant hit, and then they create their own company, which they named Unfair Games because they said life is unfair, but games don't have to be. There's so many good quotes in this book. There's one that I absolutely loved that I highlighted here. He wanted Ishigo's life, a lifetime of endless, immaculate tomorrows, free of mistakes and the evidence. And I just love that because the whole book basically talks about how games and gaming became an escape for these characters and for so many people. And I think that really is what we use video games or television or movies or books for, is they are an escape from reality in a way to live a different life and see things differently and be in a story where the good guys do win. And that's something I think that all of us need sometimes. So I absolutely loved the message behind this book. You definitely don't need to care about video games to read this book because it is a story about two friends making video games on the surface, but it's actually so much more than that. So I cannot stop thinking about this book, and I gave it 4.5 stars. I highly, highly recommend it if you have been thinking about reading it. This is your sign. The only reason I didn't give it 5 stars is because I did find it a little bit slow at certain points, but overall the writing is just so beautiful. It really captivated me even if nothing was really happening. I'm really glad that I read all of these books. It pushed me a little bit out of my comfort zone, which was really fun, and I can definitely see why each of these have become so popular. If you like this video, please like and subscribe so I can spend all my time reading books so that you don't have to spend all your time reading books, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!